status. Another key decision made was to allow private universities so that people can found their own universities with particular areas of specialization. Another key step that Vice Premier Li took was to dramatically increase the funding. So, for example, Tsinghua University and Beijing University each received an annual additional funding of $250 million US dollars. And that money was spent in increasing the buildings, improving graduate schools, adding laboratories, hiring world-class scientists such as Yang Zhenming and Andrew Yao, a Turing Award recipient in computer science. And that's really led to Tsinghua and Beijing University being head and shoulders above the others. Also, significant money was provided to sort of the top 10 schools to try to create research universities in China. And even broader than that, I would say today, if you went to kind of the top 100 of schools, there are about 2,000 universities in China. If you visited any of the top 100, you'll be really amazed how beautiful the campuses are. Because China is developing quickly, the universities were quick to partner with science labs, real estate developers, where they were able to get large donations of land for free and take loans from the bank to build really amazing university campuses. One of the university presidents recently remarked to me that he visited Stanford and he was really amazed how old the buildings were. And he said, you know, we're only ranked number 100 in China, but I think our campus is prettier than Stanford. So that's certainly, these are some of the great things that have happened. And certainly the top schools, the graduates that they turn out are really phenomenal. To give you an example, Google currently hires about 100 people from universities per year. As most of you know, we have extremely high hiring bar. And in comparison, we're only able to hire about 50 in India and about 10 in Japan. So I think this, again, is a very strong testament to the quality of these top schools, that they're able to turn out people that absolutely pass our internationally high bar. And if you look at all the great startups and successful multinationals, you'll certainly see that the top students from the top schools are improving very, very rapidly. Let me now turn around and point out a few of the challenges that these Chinese universities, whether research global universities or the second and third tier schools, face today. I think for the top schools, some of the challenges they face are that the schools are optimizing for the students to become amazing and great. And they cram huge amount of coursework to the students, sometimes even PhD level work at a premature phase. And the graduating students have an amazing knowledge of the foundations of each area as well as advanced work. But some of the other soft skills are not as well developed. Things like teamwork, hands-on experience, communication are some of the areas that we think more improvements are needed. For example, all of the Google new hires, they can write amazing English. Their vocabulary is probably better than many of us today. They can get perfect scores on GREs. However, their communication, verbal communication, their ease of willingness to speak up in the environment, their willingness to challenge their American counterparts are not as good as for example, our campus hires in the U.S. One of my friends taught a course at a top Chinese university, and then the second day, 30% dropped out. And when he asked why, he was surprised to find out that he decided to have team projects rather than individual scores. And these 30% of people were not comfortable being a part of the team and sharing the same grade. They're more used to beating everyone else and getting the number one score. So I think many of us grew up in Chinese education, understand some of these challenges, and they're still faced, although I think very rapidly the top schools are becoming very good. Probably the part I'm more concerned about is not the top 10 or even top 100 schools, but the other ones. I would say the quality of an education that you receive is inversely proportional to the square of the rank of the school. Sorry that this is a bit of a tongue twister. But to put it more plainly, I think a top 1 school is probably 100 times better than a number 10 school. And the number 10 school is probably 100 times better than a 100 school. And that's very understandable. When you try to grow universities at a factor of 3 to 5, the teachers don't scale. So the quality, and also when you put all the funding on the top 2, 3, or 10 schools, the other ones suffer greatly because the teachers are paid less, you don't have as much lab facilities, the tuition may not be reasonable, and especially when you get to the private universities, the quality of education is even more questionable. I was at a Boao conference last week, and one of the private educators gave me his business card. And I've never seen a business card like it. It has a fold-out, 3 layers. It opens up to this big. And it has a list of all the schools that he's founded. And I said, "Are you sure you can educate responsibly at a private school like this?" And he says, "Well, hey, my businesses have all grown like that, so I think I can make more money." And I think that's an issue of private schools shouldn't equal just making money with expansion and growth. Another key challenge that's faced is the very large discrepancy of the compensation. So some of my, so as we hire people into, okay, I'm wrapping up. So as I look at the top graduates in the say computer science, in some cities, the average salary may be $100 a month, but at the top end, it may be $3,000 a month. In the U.S., you don't see this kind of 30x difference in compensation, and obviously that will drive people to go to highly desirable schools. So this large discrepancy means a lot of students, in fact, the vast majority, are facing challenges in their pursuit of education. So, whereas in my past lives I've spent a lot of time going to Tsinghua and Beidang, and I haven't been back for the last year and a half, even though I work right next to them. I think the other schools are more needy, so I actually spend a lot of time in the 2nd, 3rd tier schools, and just giving general advice on how to choose a major, get a job, go abroad, or optimize your life, and, or even make money and start companies. And that's things they care deeply about, but teachers cannot always give to them. So in the last year, I've spoken to about 100,000 students in lecture formats. And I want to do that every year, and I hope those of you who have time to come to China do spend a little time at universities, especially those that are especially in need of your help. Thank you.
Insightful and helpful, and thank you. And you can get ready to ask him a lot of nice questions. And I also, when you talk about the data, I just thought of one thing, that the collaboration between U.S. and China higher education has reached the point that I checked the data for the last 5 years. In the specific area of science and technology, the U.S. is producing 10 PhD per day in science and technology for the Chinese students. Now, come to the next speaker. Dr. David Chang is the Chancellor of Polytechnic University in